Hey, this is Jeffrey Pepper Rogers, and I'm here with another episode of Guitar Sessions. And today I want to share with you an arrangement I've had a lot of comments and questions about of Within You Without You, the track from the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, one of George Harrison's Indian-inspired masterpieces. So this is a song I got involved with thanks to a 50th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper's concert in 2017. Now, I have a background in Indian music. I've lived in India. I studied tabla for a number of years. So I was invited to help to bring to life Within You Without You as part of that concert. Which I did with a full Indian ensemble and a string quartet. And it was a really amazing experience. And before we dive into the guitar part of this, I wanted to share with you a little clip of that night so you get a sense of where this all started. So maybe you were wondering what instrument I was holding there in that clip, or maybe you recognized it as an auto harp. So just as a little aside, so one of the instruments that's on the original track is called a swar mandal. It's an Indian type of harp. And when we were putting together this performance, I didn't have access to a swar mandal or know how to get one. So I was trying to figure out how to recreate that sound. And somewhere along the line, the idea popped up of using an auto harp as a way to get that sound. So what I wound up doing was going to this book, The Beatles Complete Scores, which is quite a resource if you really want to get into the esoteric details of Beatles songs. And I found that swar mandal pitches transcribed in there, and I retuned the auto harp to those pitches, and here's what I got. I'm just got to play this really quick clip, and then I'll get to the guitar stuff straight away. Pretty cool, right? So after that performance was over, I really wanted to, I love this song, and I wanted to bring it to the guitar somehow, see if I could figure out a way. And I do love the challenge of trying to bring to the guitar music that was not written on the guitar or performed on the guitar, and making it somehow work. So I got to thinking about how to do that. So one of the things was, so we performed the song in the key of C. And one of the things that I had learned in the course of doing research on that song was that what I had read is that it was originally performed in C in the studio, but that they sped up the tape so that it sounds actually in C sharp. But we were performing it in C. And one of the things about that is the drone instrument, the tambura, which you saw on the stage there, is just playing C and G notes, just a constant wash of C and G notes the whole time, and which is just a feature of this type of Indian music. And so one of the things I knew that I wanted was a lot of C and G notes, so I could play a drone myself behind the melody on the guitar. So that was kind of one starting point for the arrangement. So, but then I wound up with this particular setup on the guitar where I started to fool around with capos and tunings to see what open strings I could get. So where I wound up was, so if I just took that capo off, and so first thing I did was I tuned the 6th string down to C. There's a nice low C to underpin the whole arrangement. But then if I take the capo off, my strings are at G, D, G, B, and D. And if you fooled around with open tunings at all on the guitar, you may recognize that as open G tuning. If I had a D on the bottom, that would be standard open G tuning. So, but I'm not playing in G for this song. So what I did was I capoed up at the 5th fret, where those 5 strings are now raised from open G up to open C. But there's a little twist, which is this capo is a partial capo. So it's a little shorter than a normal capo. This model is made by Dunlop. And it's covering only the top 5 strings, and then it is leaving the 6th string uncapoed. So what that does for me in this song is it allows me to have that nice low bass note underneath, but then be capoed up the neck a little bit to play melodies up the neck too. So the pitches that I get with the combination of this tuning and this capo position are C on the 6th string, another C on the 5th string, there's a G, a C, E, and G. So this is a type of open C tuning, and every string except for the 2nd string is a C or a G. So remember how I said I wanted to have a lot of drone strings for C and G? Well, I've got them in this position. So, and as it turns out, that E note that I have on the 2nd string is actually a really good one to have on an open string. It's an important note in the melody. So this was a result of some experimenting with tunings and positions. When I got there, I realized the melody, everything really sits well in this position. There's a lot I can do. And not only can I get the drone strings, but I can play the melody on top of it in 2 octaves. So what happens in this arrangement is that the first couple verses, I play the melody in a low octave, and then I jump up an octave for the instrumental and the last part of the song. So there's this kind of just build to the arrangement. So the basic idea of how I'm playing this is that I'm playing the melody, single note melody, along with my voice. Every note that I sing, I also play. which is the same thing that happens in the original with a bowed instrument, actually, not a guitar, obviously, called the Dilruba. We had a violinist play that part in that clip earlier. And so I'm playing the melody along with my voice, and then I'm just using drone strings around the melody to kind of fill out the sound, to have that C and G drone happening, and to kind of keep the rhythm going. And that is basically how the arrangement unfolds. I want to show you a little sample here. Just the very first line. This is just the intro to the song, which I played at the very beginning of this lesson. And the complete tab for this entire arrangement is over on Patreon, and there's a link down in the description you can follow if you're interested in getting a hold of that. But this is the first line of it. So if you ignore all the open strings and you just look at what's going on the second string in this example, you have a melody that goes mostly up this second string. So this is the second measure. So they're not regular measures here. They're these dotted lines because this is really done in a kind of free time here. But in this, what's the second measure, that's 0, 1, 3, 6, 8 on the second string. And then the next phrase of that starts up at the 8th fret, followed by so if you boil it down to just the melody, there's that beautiful melody that opens the song. So on top of that, or underneath it, more accurately, I'm just playing a lot of open strings to get the drone going on. So that's where you see all those O's, zeros in the tab. So when you put that together, here's what you get. This is what this line sounds like. And then the rhythm part of this kicks in. Now I'm going to show a little of this. I'm not going to try to, in this video, go through the arrangement note by note, because I think that's just too much information to take in this kind of way on a video. However, as I said, the complete tab is over on Patreon, and if you want to follow along that way, you can do that. But I want to just kind of run through the basic idea of what the melody looks like if you strip out the other notes that go along with it. So here we go. This is the lower register melody. Starts here at the 4th fret of the 5th string. That's the 4th fret above the capo. And as I said, I'm just playing the melody right along with my voice. So I'm going to just play this kind of slowly and follow along. So there's just a couple of the opening phrases of the song. So one of the things you might notice is that I am sliding up and down the same string a lot here. I am playing the melody at this point entirely on the 5th and 4th strings. So the reason why I would do that, so normally you would think maybe I would cross onto another string rather than sort of slide up and down one string. For one thing, the phrasing of that, the sound of that, of the slides is a little bit more like the way a lot of Indian instruments, stringed instruments, are played. But the other part of it is that if I'm using fewer strings for the melody, then I'm just leaving more strings untouched for the drone. They can just be open, they can be ringing. So that's the other rationale for kind of confining the melody to fewer strings in that way. Let me just play that little part with the vocal. You can get an idea what it sounds like. Again, without the open strings. We were talking about the space between us all and the people who hide themselves behind a wall of illusion, never glimpse the truth, and it's far too late when they pass away, when they pass away. That little phrase that I just played at the end actually comes from the string parts. So I included some of those in the arrangements. There's some great little melodies in the string arrangement. So that is, when you strip away the rest of it, there's that melody. So if I play that same section, but then I just add in some of the open strings around it to keep the rhythm going, here's what I get. We were talking about the space between us all and the people who hide themselves behind a wall of illusion, never glimpse the truth, and it's far too late when they pass away. So just filling in open strings around the melody. Now I should say a little something about the rhythm here. And that is, so the main rhythmic pattern in this song in Indian music is called Tintal. It's a 16-beat rhythmic cycle. So if you study tabla or study Indian music, as I did, you would learn Tintal with a little pattern, spoken pattern that would go like this. Da din din da da din din da da tin tin na da din din da. So to our ears, it sounds like 4/4 time, similar because it's 16. So it sounds like 4 measures of 4 beats each. But of course, it's a longer cycle, so it's not quite exactly the same. But that's kind of what I'm keeping going with my right hand. Da din din da da din din da da tin tin da din din da. So this is the other thing that I'm adding along with the drone notes, is just that little bit of rhythm because I'm not playing it with a drummer. One other thing I should mention about the rhythm is that the instrumental section in the middle, and I do a kind of shortened instrumental, is in a different rhythmic cycle. That one is called Chapdal. It's a 10-beat cycle. And if you look at the Beatles scores, you'll see that is notated in 5/4 time. So a 10-beat cycle is, again, similar to 2 times through 5/4 time. But again, it's a longer cycle. So, but in my version, I didn't exactly do it in Japtal. I played it in a little bit more free sort of a way. Probably sounds more like it's still in the Tintal in the 16-beat pattern, but not even really regular for that. I was doing it much sort of more by feel and rather than keeping track of an exact number of cycles or anything like that. Just the way that I wound up doing it in my arrangement. But it's good to be aware of, and a 10-beat cycle is an interesting, fun thing to experiment with. So let me just show a little bit of what the melody looks like when you move up an octave in this arrangement. So in that case, like in that little intro that I played earlier, the melody is starting on the second string, the open second string, and this time it's being played mostly on the second string, onto the third string a little bit. But again, confining it to just a few strings in order to then let the rest of the strings ring. So here's a little bit of what that melody sounds like up here. We were talking. So that's a little piece of the melody up an octave. And that is how I play it. I play it in that range during the instrumental and also during the verses later. So, in terms of the arrangement, rather than just playing the melody in the same way through the whole song, it gives it a little bit of a build or development, which is always something that I'm looking for in the song. So let me just sing along with a little bit of that in the upper register, and so you can hear what that sounds like. We were talking about the love we all could share when we find it, to try our best to hold it there. With our love, we could save the world if they only knew. So that is a little bit of what it sounds like when you move up the and play in the upper octave. So there's a good number of other pieces to this, but they're all really variations on this same idea. It's the bare melody with the drone strings added in, a little bit of rhythm. The instrumental section is basically a variation of the melody once again. And if you want to delve into all of that and sort of follow along in the full detail, as I said, you can find that tab over on Patreon. But one thing I really encourage you to do is just to try to do this by ear. Indian music is taught by ear, not by looking at notation. So just with these melodies, we were talking. Just find your starting note and just try to pick out the melody on the guitar right in that range. Find out where the melody is. Listen to it. Try to play it and sing it together, phrase it together. And that's a really great way to learn it, as well as a great way to just sort of strengthen your ear, the connections between what you're fingering, what you're hearing, what you want to hear, and between the guitar and the voice, which is such an important part of what makes it sound musical. So I'm going to provide a link to the full arrangement so you can check that out, which is posted elsewhere. So you can listen to the whole thing. Again, if you're interested in the tab, there's a link to that in Patreon in the description. And please subscribe, like, follow the channel for more of these types of lessons. And I appreciate any support through PayPal, Venmo, all those links are there. But I appreciate your watching, and I think you'll really enjoy exploring this song as far as you can take it. Getting into Indian music brings us into some territory we don't ordinarily go to as guitarists, because it's not built around chord changes, this kind of music, but instead it's about the unfolding of a melody over a drone, over the same pitches. And it's a whole different way of kind of constructing music, thinking about music, and it really opens up some interesting ideas for how to play. As well as some, as you can see, some adaptations and experiments in terms of tunings and partial capos and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for watching. Enjoy exploring Within You Without You, and I'll see you next time.